Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of YouTube Developers Live. And this week we have a special guest, the folks behind FanBridge. Local with me, I'm Jeff Klosnick in New York. We have Noah and Spencer, who are more on the business side of FanBridge, and they can talk a lot about background of the company. And we have some of the developers who've been building FanBridge, powered by some of our YouTube APIs, Gabriel and Jonathan, joining us via Hangout from Argentina. So thanks very much for doing that, guys. And yeah, let's actually just get right into it, because there might be some folks out there who aren't sure what FanBridge is all about. So if you guys could go into a little bit more detail, we'd be really interested in hearing.
Yeah, I mean, so Noah and I, we co-founded FanBridge about 5 years ago. We were graduating from the Stern School of Business together, kind of entering full-time day jobs. So believe it or not, the first couple years of FanBridge, this was a nights and weekend project, so midnight till 4 in the morning, and then all day Saturday, Sunday.
Gotcha.
And what we were trying to think through is how could we address the fact that we saw kind of an inefficiency in how this proliferation of content creators were building audience in a sustainable way around that content creation. And so we saw more of them coming to market than ever before, in more verticals than ever before, and at the same time, kind of the technology around them in terms of building audience was lacking.
Sure.
And so we developed that out, and Gabriel and Joni down in Buenos Aires were the first two people we brought on full time. And so then the four of us just kind of went from there.
Great. I'm sure that kind of the rise of YouTube as a platform creators kind of coincided with some of your business plans around that.
Absolutely.
So it's great to see everybody building on top of YouTube as a platform and making things possible for creators to get the word out about their content. So who exactly is the target audience for the types of services that you guys provide?
Yeah, definitely. So, we worked with other different types of content creators when we first started. So musicians, athletes, authors, anybody who makes different kinds of content. And then really over the last year, we noticed a couple things happening. One, that video content, specifically YouTube videos, became the #1 most engaged with content type across the entire platform. So through email and social media, it was the #1 piece of content that people would click on and engage with, right? So that was really interesting.
Versus some what other types of
like photo, text.
Sure.
So the numbers we were looking at were like click-through rates in email campaigns, or engagement with social media modules and like Facebook pages, as well as where inbound traffic for audiences were coming from.
Right. And so that was really interesting. And then as we dug in more to the YouTube ecosystem, we realized, it's massive, right? And we're probably, you guys think it's funny because you've been here for a while, but, it was just eye-opening to us how big this world was and how many different creators there are, both, individual guys in their home making videos with, tiny audiences that are growing, individual guys with massive audiences, right? The funded channel initiative, right? Where Google committed hundreds of millions of dollars to fund original content. You have the MCNs, sitting on hundreds or thousands of channels, sometimes tens of thousands, and then more and more in 2013, you're seeing brands really deciding that, YouTube is a place they need to have a presence, where, they did with other platforms a few years ago. And so today, our platform really serves best people who are content creators that have an audience, right? So that's, the individual creators, the funded channels, the MCNs, all these guys who are attracting tens, hundreds, or millions of fans, and we're giving them tools to help their audience come back over and over again.
And just to add to that, a big thing that we're looking at is, these guys are taking a more traditional business perspective now, so they're looking to build a business around that content.
Sure. And
so I think that's really the core of the infrastructure we're developing is, how do you create a recurring kind of revenue or recurring engagement stream, so that way we can maximize kind of the lifetime value of that audience. And that really is, I think, where the core of what we started building fits well with kind of the YouTube ecosystem, is the fact these guys are getting monetized, and they're looking for new ways to monetize as well that we can support.
Excellent. So anybody out there who already has an established audience of some size might find some value from using FanBridge, basically.
Well, yeah, and we do have, it's interesting because there's certain high growth verticals as well that, they start very small and they grow very quick. So, I think while the core technology operates best for people with kind of a developing current audience, at the same time we are seeing, particularly as we talk and work with like the multi-channel networks, part of the thinking there is how do we also leverage the benefit of the audience growth from the kind of incumbent players and help that leverage new people coming in to those networks, so that way we can scale them up faster than what might happen kind of organically on the platform at present.
Awesome. So I know that you guys are integrating with a number of different APIs, but before we get into kind of a more technical discussion, it'd be great to see a demo of what the platform looks like from the perspective of somebody who's using FanBridge. And I believe we're going to be handing that over to the folks in Argentina to drive that demo. So.
All right. So I'm going to do a screen share now so you can look.
There we go. So that's coming through fine. Thanks so much.
Oops. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
So what we can see here actually is the main page where once the user logs in, and you have here the activity field. And of course, through the YouTube API, we are gathering information about all the videos once the user connect with us their YouTube account.
Okay, so users go through the OAuth 2 login flow and they grant access to their account, and then you're able to make these calls on their behalf?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So on top of that, what we do is gather the information of all videos, and also using the B2B API, which is the last release of the API. What we do is to start processing and saving the watch time, which is an important metric for our users right now.
Sure.
So here, what you can see is the amount of, in this case, the amount of time that YouTube has drive to each video, or the channel in this case for this user, right?
And that's obviously very useful information.
Right.
I mean,
of course, it's basically right now the key metric that content creators are looking for.
Yeah, and
right?
I think that's a recent change where people kind of realize that views might not be as meaningful as actual minutes watched, and we do expose in the API ways of running reports and getting that minutes watched details now.
One thing I would just add, in the dashboard, is the fact that a big question we were getting from people is how are the marketing efforts I'm doing across email, across social media, across mobile, having a direct impact on the watch time of my videos. And so we're actually the first marketing platform to have launched an ability through the watch time API to see exactly how much your email campaigns in each of those channels, social media and so forth, are actually driving down to a video level as well as an aggregate. So it's not just showing kind of an overlay of your historic watch time, across all videos. It's really about how are marketing efforts and actions you're taking in the FanBridge platform directly contributing to your number one metric.
Great.
And then the activity feed, the concept there I would just add to Gabriel, is really tied into more of a recommendation engine. So the idea is turn an account holder, so a digital marketer or a DIY kind of person, into basically giving them a to-do list now of actions that we know based on the global system, and the data on the back end is what they need to do to impact that watch time metric. So we're making them more focused kind of marketers, which is also saving them time.
Okay.
And time is probably the hidden commodity that's the most valuable to all of these guys, is what we're noticing. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this information has been available in the past, but just via web interfaces, like off of YouTube.com. We just haven't had an API for a lot of these things up until recently. So I really do think that it's not necessarily that you couldn't get this information before. It's just presenting it in a compelling way that saves time, and it's great to hear that you guys are using it for actionable things that you could do.
Exactly. Well, tying it to their marketing efforts directly hasn't been done.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think that's the unique kind of the key is
Yeah.
I want to know what I'm doing
Totally.
on Facebook, or I'm doing within YouTube, or I'm doing through email is having an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being able to answer that is pretty cool.
Awesome. Was there anything else in the interface that you wanted to show?
Definitely.
Cool. If we switch back to that, and you guys could drive.
Sure. So I want to add what Spencer and Gabriel said. So apart from the total gating time we have, the total watch time, we are also adding in a live feed, that is where you're looking here, all the videos, and also with views, how much time was viewed in the last minutes. And recommended actions. For example, one of these actions is, okay, you have 7,000 views, 6 comments, why don't you create a widget?
Okay.
So you can add more views on that video. For example, I'm going to paste here one of our own videos. And with this, we created, this is a widget where we have two options, or two gating options. One is to watch the whole video, you have to add the email. So this is a way to subscribe to the FanBridge list.
Okay.
Or in the last week, we added a new feature, that is you have to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That I think this is great for the YouTube creators, because it's going to basically boost their channel, right? So I would choose that option so everyone can see it. And also we can set up how long we want to allow people to see the video. I will mute it so we don't have delay. How long we want to allow the people to watch the video before asking to subscribe to the list. I will put 50 seconds, just as a demonstration.
Okay. And this is using the standard player API methods for doing start time and end time.
Right. This is all using the standard JavaScript editor, but we added some JavaScript code as a new layer. So it's pretty simple, and it's all using the YouTube API and the Google API to subscribe people to their channel list.
Right.
So with this, let's say we create the embedded code. And with this we have both, or JavaScript code that people can paste in their own site, or we are giving them a direct landing page, so they can put in an iframe within their site, or just giving to everyone.
Okay, great.
So I will paste this here. But it's only 15 seconds.
Epic ping pong match.
And there,
Right.
it asks you to subscribe to the channel,
Right.
so you can continue watching the video.
Gotcha.
So yes, basically this is a great way for us to allow creators to promote their own videos, no, and also to getting people to their own list. And of course, this empower more our activity feed in a way that everyone who is starting getting into their own list, we are going to show it them live in this activity feed. So it's all integrated.
Great.
I think the interesting thing also just to add, so we do quite a bit of kind of testing around this stuff before we launch to production. So we'll bring in different channels just into the office sometimes and have them work through. And one thing we noticed is by having that timing gate, giving people the ability to kind of have a lead-in teaser.
Sure.
We were able to actually almost double the conversion rate that we were seeing.
Okay.
So typically you kind of find that right moment We've all seen on TV where they cut to commercial right at that like terrible kind of moment, and
Right.
yeah. So
I wanted
people
to see what was going to happen in the ping pong match.
exactly.
I was
So
like-
who won?
Yeah.
And or did the shot make it to the table or not?
Yeah.
So that actually is something that is just an example of how the data really drives the feature set that we build into this stuff.
Sure. Cool. Can we talk a little bit about the way that you are using YouTube APIs? Because I see a number of different integrations that are being done here, and some really cool stuff. So, starting with the use of the data APIs, because I know there's some things that are specific to the newer version 3 of the data APIs that you all are making use of, and I think one of the first companies that we've worked with that are using things like posting channel bulletins, for instance. And
Right.
Can you talk a little bit more about how you're using the data APIs?
Yeah.
And you might want to, I don't know if you're going to be showing anything else on screen right now, but
Yeah, we may want to
it'd be
show
great to see your faces
publishing.
too.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
And we are back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, basically all the YouTube data API we are using to retrieve all the videos data that you just saw in the activity feed. With that, we can get comments, how many views, also the video links, so we can display and create using the thumbs. So basically, the biggest part of that API we use is to retrieve and to show in the activity feed.
Okay.
We use we cache many of that data internally. We use a structure that is in our stack is MongoDB.
Okay.
Many people know it. That makes it easy for us because, as you know, when we ask for data in YouTube, not all the videos have the same quantity of data, so
Sure.
we need to show it with different specifications on description. So we decided to use Mongo, so it's easy to retrieve and to store that data.
Excellent.
We are also using this for when creating email campaigns. So we already have, once you connect your account using the YouTube OAuth 2 technology, we already have permissions to obtain this data and to display it and use it, I don't know, like a browser of all your videos, right?
Sure.
So it simplifies the life of the YouTube creators when they want to create an email or they want to see their stats. Like you just saw in one live example, you have all your videos. This was from our own accounts with all your stats, so it's very quick to see what's going on.
Sure, and I think this is one thing that maybe some developers out there don't necessarily understand about how to use OAuth 2 with our APIs. The fact that you do go through the approval flow once, and once you go through that flow, you can ask for multiple API scopes. So I assume you guys are asking for both the data API scopes and also for analytics, and then you get a token that you could then reuse in the background to continuously pull data, and we don't require developers to ask users to log in multiple times just because they're using OAuth 2. So it's great to see that you guys are making use of that, and I just wanted to highlight that as something that some developers out there who are not as familiar with OAuth 2 might not understand. So that's great.
So also in the client side, we are using the JavaScript API of the player. So what we accomplished in the gating you just saw is a new layer over the JavaScript API that allows us to control the player in the way that the user wanted. So we can get the gating and then subscribe the let's say the fan or the watcher to the channel, right?
Yes.
That's another API. So basically, we are not just using the server-side APIs, but also the client-side ones, which is really cool.
Right.
And allow to play with the YouTube player in the way we need it.
Right. I think one other one that you had alluded to is I think we were one of the first users of the V3 API to do channel bulletin posts.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that lets you, we had already let you push out to Twitter and Facebook from FanBridge, right? You can, type a tweet or a post, or schedule it, or post it right now. It can post to multiple accounts. And then we added YouTube in there. So as far as we know, we were actually the first people to allow you to schedule a bulletin post.
Sure.
Right. So YouTube.com doesn't, you have to be there in the moment pushing publish. Whereas this, a channel owner or creator can set it up ahead of time, right? Whether it's for late at night, if they're targeting a different time zone, over the weekend, if they're, a musician on YouTube and they're touring, they can set these up ahead of time. You can automatically include, video URLs or playlist URLs, and just makes it really easy to schedule this stuff ahead of time.
Great.
And push out to that channel feed.
And I think this is a great feature of the API, which I'm glad you guys are using. I hope more folks out there who are watching it are using it too, because it does open up this type of interaction that you couldn't really do before.
Right. Well, it's how we can basically create a programming infrastructure on top of the platform, so that way, as people create content, which is really what the content creator should focus on, the system is able to pull in content in real time as it's coming out, take historic content that we are collecting data on as well, and now use these tools and these APIs to create a publishing model that satisfies what the audience really needs, which is almost a continuous engagement model.
Sure.
And that's what creates that recurring value.
Sure. Great. And I assume you guys are using the YouTube Analytics API as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's kind of what opens up a lot of this kind of advanced watch time metrics, and being able to run really granular reports. I mean, this is actually a great integration with the Analytics API. It's definitely what we had in mind when developing it for doing a very targeted, I don't want to say one-off reports, because you could certainly do it on a recurring basis.
Right.
But that's really where the API shines, I think. So I'm glad to see this type of integration.
Yeah, no, I think it's showing people stuff at the high level, which is a lot of what YouTube's dashboard itself does, and then that digging in at a granular level and crossing it with off YouTube marketing activities, whether it's on other social platforms, via email, or whatever have you, showing people the different results from different channels.
Sure.
Because I think that's an area that there's definitely a lot of room to run with on the API.
Great. From a technical perspective, is there any kind of feedback or pain points that you wanted to offer back to me on behalf, and I can pass along to our relevant engineering folks? And we're always interested in hearing about people's development experience.
The V3 API for analytics was our new shiny toy a few weeks ago. So we wanted to play with it and build cool features. So we did it, and so we are waiting for our next toy. Basically, we want to play that.
Yeah.
Now we have been talking with plenty of the API developers, and every time we can have a new feature of it, we try to make use and add value for our users, and those users can see how mixing FanBridge and YouTube can get great results. That's really nice. The V3 API has new cool features in terms of responses and the data we can get from it. So it's really nice. It was really nice times to develop with.
Yeah, I also want to encourage developers to use OAuth too, because as you can see, we really use it 3 different APIs, and we are only requesting to the clients only once their credentials, and we are fine. We can help everyone, and they have to log in only once with YouTube.
Yeah, so, and you're not maintaining a database somewhere with people's email addresses and passwords or anything like that.
Right,
I mean, this is definitely the right way to do it. So yeah, thank you again for pointing that out.
They should not be afraid that anyone is going to, I don't know, just steal their password, because nobody's saving passwords. So there are plenty of security things and performance things that I think I would encourage any developers to use that. It will make their life easy for them or for the content creators.
Great.
What do you guys wish the API had?
Yeah, this is your chance. It's not your only chance. We obviously welcome feedback.
It's okay to be honest, even if we're on
this is your chance to put
Developers
me on the
Live.
spot.
Think about Pivotal.
No, I think the more data we can get about channels and videos, is the more we can show users. I think with the API we are getting like a lot of it, but I think YouTube has more data to show us, and we can make plenty use of it.
There's probably some more real-time features.
Right.
Real-time could be a nice to have for any developer.
Okay.
Right.
I'll throw some other requests on there since they're being very polite right now. I think we blow through all of our query or quota, and that's been increased. So the ability to process much larger queries or requests, whether it's batch or not, I think that would be super helpful. As Joni just said, real time, right? Because a lot of the MCNs, they want to know what's trending right now across my network, and with a 2-day delay, that's really tough to do. It's not 2 days for every metric, but for some of them it is. And I think more depth and engagement, like they said, into the subscribers, right? Today, 1 million subscribers is 1 million subscribers. A channel doesn't know if that's 10,000 watching everything all day long or 1 million people watching everything once, right? So more, what's an active subscriber, or just more data around that, so we can help our clients understand that and maybe target those people differently.
There's also, some other parts of the platform we're not seeing visibility on in terms of performance metrics, particularly around subscribe.
Okay.
I think for us that's something where we do have an email component to the platform that's I think helping hedge people's bets in terms of more customizable infrastructure that they're driving traffic to.
Mm-hmm.
That said, we'd love to be able to export more of that into the subscribe framework, because we do see that as a really viable kind of channel to be marketing down into.
Sure.
But there's limited degrees of freedom right now in terms of what platforms like us, who are building infrastructure for these guys, can see and kind of play around with in terms of performance of subscribe, editability, different things like that. So little touchier, but it's it's on our list of things we're paying attention to.
Well, that's all excellent feedback that is now officially on the record.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, indeed. We have video evidence so we can present to the folks and make that sort of decision. So
excellent. And
we could set some timelines on the record.
Yeah, exactly. Great. We have case studies to back it up.
Well, excellent. So I know that we do have some external questions that were being asked via your FanBridge powered
Fan questions,
questions platform. So I'm going to pull those up over here, and I don't think we're going to have time for all of them necessarily, but let me just reload and oops. Maybe I'm going to reload. I'll give you a chance to log in on the computer over here. I do happen to know one of the questions, so I'm going to short circuit that. And we have a question every week as to whether YouTube developer relations and Google developer relations in general is hiring. So if the answer is yes, and if folks are interested in doing the sort of thing that I do, working with developers and getting them to meet and help folks with cool integrations, check out developers.google.com/jobs.
Plus you get to work with Yark.
You do get to work with Yark. Shout out to Yark, who's not on today's show.
Cool. So we have a handful of questions here. So one part of the platform, I guess someone was looking around our site that we didn't touch on, is we're a certified engagement solutions developer.
Sure.
So what that enables us to do is turn on a deeper engagement experiences within YouTube channel pages, right? So you have the the home tab, the about tab. Now we can turn on a custom tab, and that right now we're powering our fan questions experience. So you can ask a channel owner or a creator a question, which is what we use to solicit these questions. They get queued privately, and then the creator can answer them via text or record. Actually, this is another API we're using, the YouTube Direct API, I think it's called, to record straight from your webcam the answer, publish it automatically to your YouTube channel.
Use it's our webcam upload widget or something along those lines.
Exactly.
I forget the exact branding, but it's great to hear that you guys are using that.
You can do that.
That's
you can
a
also
perfect
just
use.
drop in a YouTube video embed if you want, if you already had the video answer. So that's really cool. So that can exist right on that tab. And then events, right? So whether you're a musician touring or you're an author doing a book tour or speaking tour, or even just a TV show, using different events. So John Mayer has this on his channel right now. He has a non-monetized channel, which is youtube.com/MayerMusic. And he's just announced his upcoming tour on a Google Plus Hangout, I think 2 weeks ago. And so now we're powering all the tour dates for that.
Awesome.
And right now, these tabs can only be put on non-monetized channels, but we're crossing our fingers that expands.
A lot of people want them for monetized guys as well. So
we think that's pretty cool. So why should a YouTube channel collect their fans' email addresses? Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, we can probably. I think we both have opinions on this. There's something about owning your audience that's valuable. I think a lot of people approach YouTube from the ground up, so they're viewing it as their entire kind of world, particularly for the video creators. I think more and more people are seeing it as the social network it really is. And I think as you look at the kind of timeline of social networks that have hit the market and grown very rapidly around these kinds of clients, you notice a trend that there's really never like an export your email list button. And so what we want to do is have our technology both drive growth for the channel owner in the form of more watch time, YouTube channel subscribes, and so forth. But at the same time, if they can build an owned email database as well, we do tend to see that that is the highest ROI channel for a lot of these guys. And it enables you to kind of move traffic around. So, while we'd like to port more of that kind of email tech into things like subscribe, inside, YouTube natively, we do see in lieu of that, pretty strong demand right now around being able to build up an owned database that I can then remarket into. And given our ability to have a more kind of flexible infrastructure to work with there, it enables us to make sure that subscribers to that database are having a continuous feed of content. Again, working with the APIs that you guys provide to pull in that content. So it's a very somehow we used to call it your email list is your retirement fund. I think now for us we see it as really your recurring value fund.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and a lot of the YouTubers sell merch more and more, right? And driving people to those web stores or back to YouTube when they have a new video or they do a collab with someone else. Sometimes the platform itself isn't the easiest place to drive a lot of traffic, and this gives them the ability to, as Spencer said, point that traffic hose wherever they want.
And So the one kind of final pitch that that we have, has also been that. The black hole metric right now that we're noticing kind of behind the scenes in a lot of this is audience churn.
Okay.
So, we're a SaaS business. The way kind of we refer to it, is this concept of basically a churn, people falling out. And so I think what we're seeing the email channel really enable people to do is drive traffic back over onto YouTube, as the target, in a way that's a little bit more creates kind of a cumulative benefit, if you will, to their videos. So instead of seeing this pattern of, I do a video and it's 100,000 views, and the next one's 150,000, the next one is 80,000, then 60, then 200,000, we can smooth out that curve into more of a cumulative growth curve by using channels like email to consistently drive traffic back and reduce really that metric of churn around your audience.
Sure.
And that's what creates true virality, because basically churn is negative virality.
Okay, that's a very interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah,
cool. So I think that's about all the time that we have for today's show, and definitely want to thank Spencer and Noah for joining us locally here in New York City, and thank Jonathan and Gabriel for joining us in the Google Plus Hangout. I think you guys have a really fantastic product, but also just really cutting edge API integration. So it was great to have you guys on the show. And we'll be back next week at the same time for another broadcast.
Sweet.
Perfect. Thanks very much, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.